best wood for trailer decking is
right in your backyard.
But what is it? How much does it cost?
Is it strong and durable? How long is it going to last on my trailer?
Is it weather and water resistant? We're going to show you. So a customer called me the other day asking me if we had any Green Tree trailer decking boards for sale.
He said he had broken boards in his trailer. He either needed to replace them or come up with a better solution.
They're asking because trailer decking is super expensive.
And we told them, we don't have any Green Tree. We're a sawmill. We cut fresh to order.
We're gonna find a lumber product that can hold up to the elements.
And a bunch of different solutions based on popularity. Because some of these wood species aren't gonna be available in certain areas.
And by the end of this video, we're gonna show you a truly innovative way of fastening the boards to the trailer that start with this. We're gonna start this bad boy off by going through all the species that are popular in the industry.
Starting with the lightweights, the lumbers that are on the softer end for lighter trailers.
Douglas Fir ranks at 660 on the Jenga scale. It boasts a 12,400 PSI of MOR, which is modulus of rupture. Think of it as the bendy strength, the amount of flex it takes before it'll break.
There's red oak. You can use this if you want to replace your trailer deck every 5 years.
Hard maple is used for dry vans and enclosed trailers. You wouldn't want to use it for an open trailer though.
Yellow Balau, or Bangkirai, is much less common and is also around $10 a board foot. Purple Heart. Did you know they use Purple Heart for trailer decking?
Cumaru is another Brazilian hardwood that can be used for trailer decking. It's known as a more affordable alternative to Ipe. Ipe is 3680 on the Jenga scale with an MOR of over 25,000 PSI. Here's some bonus tips here. Don't use wide boards so you can avoid warping, and you're gonna wanna seal the end grain. If you can afford it, consider using a UV resistant finish. Know the difference between the cross beams to make boards fit in case you need to stagger the different size boards.
When using self-tapping screws, you gotta have a slightly smaller drill diameter than the actual screw.
We'll talk more about screws in a bit later. Hold your biscuits. All of these species that we just mentioned are fine and all, but the cons outweigh the pros with these ones. We could just replace the broken boards with the stuff that we started with in the first place, Green Tree Southern Yellow Pine.
Green Tree pine can be anywhere from 690 to 870 on the Jenga scale, but the heartwood from longleaf yellow pine, 1,225.
So the cons of this thing is you're not supposed to let this stuff touch your skin at all, especially when cutting it. You're gonna wanna wear a mask so it doesn't get into your lungs. That's all they say.
Nobody does that. The thing is, this is the same stuff that we started with. It's not gonna work. You're gonna have the same problem. We need a hardwood that's gonna last a long time.
Apitong, or Asian Apitong. Now this ranks at 1390 on the Jenga scale and almost 20,000 PSI of MOR. That's bendy strength if you remember from earlier.
It was popular back in the day, but not so much anymore. And it's known for having a resin that makes wood finishing difficult. And density and color can vary a lot from one shipment to another. And since it's an endangered species, we probably shouldn't use it.
But there's one type of Apitong that's not endangered. It's widely used on commercial trailer decks all across America, but it's on the verge of being taken away from us. Let me explain. Brazilian Apitong, or Angelim Pedra, that's a 3160 on the Jenga scale. This stuff's really tough. 17,600 PSI on the MOR scale.
Kyle and I priced out Brazilian Apitong at around $7 a board foot, including shipping. Not cheap.
But this specific hardwood is most commonly overlooked. It's cheaper than some of the solutions out there, and it's quite possibly growing in your backyard. This local option stands up to that Brazilian wood in terms of toughness by ranking a 1360 on the Jenga scale. And in case you're not familiar, 1360 is still pretty tough.
It's common in many parts of North America. Back in the day, it was used for wagon wheels and shipbuilding components below the waterline, so you know it can handle the wear and tear of a trailer deck.
And despite its strength, this local species is surprisingly easy to work with. And because this wood species is local, you can avoid tariffs too.
This fantastic, often overlooked hardwood that might be growing in your backyard is none other than white oak.
White oak has an MOR of 15,200 PSI, making it comparable to the breaking point of Brazilian Apitong.
Its high resistance to rot made it the primary wood that they used for building naval ships and boats in the American Revolution. This is because of something called tyloses.
Tyloses are little balloon-like structures that prevent the moisture from getting past the fibers in the wood.
And as we all know, where there's no moisture, there's most likely not any rot either. And this is also why it's the preferred wood for making fine wines and whiskey barrels.
This wood is tough and heavy, so you're gonna wanna plan for that. Make sure your trailer and your back can handle the heavy weight of this wood. It takes screws and bolts better than most closed grain woods without ripping and pulling as much. But it used to be best to pre-drill the holes first. And speaking of pre-drilling, you remember that bolt I showed you in the beginning of the video? In case you're new to this, which I doubt you are, trailer decking fastening has been the bane of man's existence since the dawn of trailer time.
There are so many ways to fasten down the boards of trailer decking. So many steps and processes, but you don't want to mess around.
You want to get it done fast so you can get it ready for all the fun projects your wife has planned for you. But what if you could literally set it and forget it in one fell swoop without having to mess around with a bunch of extra steps?
But first, let's start with the old ways of doing it. The too hot and the too cold methods.
These are the older ways of doing it. We're gonna eventually show you a really cool way of doing this.
So first one here, this is a carriage bolt. First thing we gotta do is we have to drill a hole the same diameter as the bolt through the board and the metal. Obviously you're gonna be on top of the trailer, so you're gonna drill through the decking first to get it in place.
And it's gonna take a little while.
Okay, we got it. Put that in. And if you notice here, this sticks out, right? And what we do is then we put the nut and the washer on the other side. So all we do is we just pull this in, and we're just gonna tighten this nut. You watch this head here, it'll get pulled right into the board. See that? Suck it in, so then it's kind of nice and flush, and you just have a round head. Not a bad deal, it works, you know, it's fine. The only problem you have, you come over to this side. Now, as you're going down the road in your trailer, what happens if this nut gets loose? It falls out, drops on the road, then you got this bolt flopping around in there. So carriage bolts, I mean, they work, but they have their pros and cons for sure.
That is what we consider the, let's call that the too hot or the too cold method, huh?
Too cold method.
Too cold. We're doing some sort of Goldilocks analogy here.
This is what they call a self-tapping screw, right? So what I need to do is I need to drill a pilot hole through here, and then this screw is gonna tap, instead of having to put a nut on here, it's just gonna thread into that steel and then hold it in place. There we go. So now that we have our hole pre-drilled, this is ready for the self-tapping screw. And remember, you have to use the drill bit slightly smaller than this so that these threads will grab. You get this in here. One thing you notice right away though, watch, it goes through the board, but it's actually threading in the lumber, which is kind of a pain. There we go. So that pulls right through and threads right into the lumber.
Does this also thread right into the steel as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, right
self-tapping, that's why they call it
yep,
self-tapping.
Self-tapping. Those fasteners are fine and all, but they take a bunch of extra steps to complete. And if you don't have a sharp drill bit, they are a pain in the butt.
Yep. But here we got the Goldilocks zone, the self-tapping wood to metal screw. One fluid motion, no need to mess around, brother.
It's got the self-tapping bit, which is sharp, thank God. So you don't have to worry about dull drill bits because every one of these comes sharp. Then on here we have these little wings. What these wings do is they actually cut a slightly larger hole through the wood, but when they hit the metal, they break off, and then the threads hit and they suck in and they suck the wood down tight to the metal. So it's a really, really nice screw. Just got the bit, so it's a one-step process. This thing's so great. I love it. All we're gonna do is just get it started. You see that bit just hits the wood, drills in, the wings hit, and they're cutting a little bit bigger hole around there so the threads on the screw don't actually hit. All right, so there we go. One thing about these screws, when you're setting these in, you don't want to suck them in too far because they create a hole, which then will pool water. And if water stays there, guess what? Rot happens.
So if you like these screws, we'll link them in the description below. We earn a small commission on anything that you buy using our links. It's just a small way to help us out. Thanks in advance, brother. When you're putting the boards on the deck like this, you want to make sure that the crown of the boards are facing down so that if the board does warp, it warps where the edges go down towards the bottom of the trailer. Future Kyle here. In this part, I realized I was wrong. While researching pictures to use in this video that would help to describe lumber that is cupping, I came across a Reddit post that not only corrected me, but helped to explain this better. Now, as you can see in this graphic right here, I learned when wood cups like that, it is because the wood wants to sort of straighten out the grain and release the tension. So you actually want to put the boards in the opposite direction of what I just told you, almost as if the U shape of the grain is pointing up. I realize that not all grain is gonna be pointing that direction, but you know, it helps. Now back to Kyle for the past to tell you why that's important in the first place. That way, when you get forks, when you're putting forks and putting a load on there, the forks don't catch on the boards as they're sliding across.
Using white oak is the best, most versatile wood that we can recommend at this time. And by using these fasteners, you're gonna be able to replace your trailer deck in no time.
But after that's done, you're gonna wanna put a finish on that trailer deck. But which one do you use? Which one's gonna make the wood last the longest? We show you which wood preservation method is best for this and any other outdoor project in this video right here. We'll see you there, brother and sister.
I don't know what Kyle forgot, but he had to run back inside. So I guess we're gonna wait for him.
Action.